blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
Yawn and stretch. Try and come to life. As one does. Mules, heroes or villains? Huh. So this will be a reading episode. We're gonna read. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna read. Cause I've got some stuff to read. Let's start with my emails. How about preface? Some interviews, yeah. Still find the odd community minded soul among them. Getting the few. Now they finally do, thanks to you. Could be the skeptics might finally come around now that we can show as well as tell. Yeah. Let's go. You got to go the extra mile, providing that extra bit of service to make people happy. That's the most important part. I get it. Next time you complete an order, take a look. Optional extras. Can never have too many likes. You heard it here first, folks. Why join the UCA? You still out there fighting a good fight, kiddo? I tip my hat for that and bring an old for bringing an old curmudgeon his medicine. Doing a whole lot better. Some shaking, some. Without having to. So what incentive is there to do so? That's a good question. I like this man. Humble request for pizza. Sister, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. This is Peter Englert. After hearing so very much about you, all good, I hasten to add, I simply could not resist the urge to initiate a correspondence. My request is of such import that I dare entrust it only to the man who delivers. My sister, bless her heart, has been feeling under the weather, and I fear there is only one thing that might restore the color to her cheeks: pizza. I wonder if you might be so kind as to collect some from Lake Knot City and deliver it to our humble abode. I am more than aware of the gravity and urgency of your westward journey, but if you could find it in your heart to squeeze us in, I would be ever so grateful. Oh, and my dear sister is something of a ham lover. Please bear that in mind if you decide to oblige me. I don't know why I started doing a bad fucking Picard voice, but that's what happened. Commencement of Ever-Dever unit testing. I've taken on the engine. So think of them as BD detectors, but were originally designed as a more all-purpose scanners for the detection of people and various objects. Seems they've undergone quite a few changes over the years. Huh. So he's saying like the scanner thing wasn't supposed to be like what you use them for when the BTs show up. Mules, heroes, or villains? Can fabricate stuff pretty much anywhere. In fact, I might ask you to test them out for me sometime. I doled out a few of those hematic grenade, yeah? Some blood bags. If they work as advertised, which I should, then our people might just be able to stand up to BTs if necessary. Could be a new beginning for the whole community. It could be. Now you know who Peter Englert is, don't you? The guy who keeps asking you to bring him pizza? It seems my cargo's somewhere near his shelter. How much do I like Half-Life? Why don't you show him? Prove me you're a real badass. Well, yeah, the ha and the ka were things. Oh, well, whatever. I'll pick that up when I get to it. Now, we have some gameplay tips that I'll just real quick get out of the way so they won't trick me into thinking I have stuff to read when I don't. The skeletons. That's gonna be useful. Okay, there we go. Interviews. Let's go. The Symbiotic Surveillance Society. In the world, and this is Die Hardman, 3 years ago. In the world before the Stranding, the online service industry was huge. Possibly the biggest of them all, yeah? Checks out. People wanted their lives to be smooth and stress-free, and countless companies were happy to oblige. Customers would provide information about themselves, browsing history, purchasing history, that kind of thing. And in return, they get a pleasant, personalized internet experience. It wasn't anything like the dystopian surveillance state people used to worry about in the 20th century. I don't know about that, though. Predictive advertising, customized health tips, that sort of thing. The internet transformed our lives, and in many ways for the better. But not everyone was happy. People started to worry that it was encroaching on people's freedoms. Yeah? That the price we paid for so much convenience was constant monitoring and an abdication of control. We had become members of a symbiotic surveillance society. Naturally, there are people who have similar concerns about the Chiral Network. There's a pretty sizable faction that wants nothing to do with it whatsoever. That said, I can't help but feel that they're being naive. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Connectivity and convenience have to come at a price. What's more, the stakes are a whole lot higher nowadays. We're not talking about a simple trade-off between privacy and convenience. It's the network or bust, survival or extinction, as far as humanity is concerned. I don't know about that, for sure. And, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, maybe I don't want lunch then. Oh, they're talking about a very real thing here. They're talking about fucking... Like, the internet is double-edged, right? It's a double-edged sword. Because it's so convenient and great for connecting and for having access to all kinds of knowledge and just... the internet is actually amazing when you think about it. But then there's also the creepy shit. Which is exactly this fucking... I don't like at all how he's he's like, oh, the data snooping whatever was nothing like the dystopian surveillance state people used to worry about. Is it not, though? Like, we don't have view screens of with Big Brother on them inside of our homes. But the fucking internet is pretty creepy. You got big tech giants like Google who know like everything we do. And they're probably almost 100% certainly in cahoots with like governments and shit. It's fucking some creep ass shit, dude. Now, Hartman. 1 year ago, the Evo-Devo unit. It seems a rather significant breakthrough has been achieved back at headquarters. They've successfully integrated an Evo-Devo unit into a chiral printer. In case you're not familiar with the term, Evo-Devo refers to evolutionary developmental biology. Oh, so it's like a bio thing. Your genes, mouse genes, dinosaur genes, the genes of every living being are virtually identical, yet we develop into such radically different organisms. What do you mean, the genes? Is he saying like a single gene is made up of the same... Because like a single gene can have several states. And if you look at the sum of the genes, then you're looking at, then it starts getting complicated. But I guess you could argue that, yeah, DNA is the same molecule in every organism, essentially, just in different configurations. Thus, a question arises. Why did such disparate life arise from the self-same building blocks? Evodevo was a field of study that sought to solve that mystery, to lay bare the secrets of evolution. Before the advent of Evodevo, it was thought that in order to reconstruct a dinosaur, we would require a sample of its DNA. However, thanks to this technology's ability to extrapolate from existing data, we could, with the correct stimulus, grow a dinosaur from the DNA of any living organism. We could, in essence, recreate the process by which dinosaurs evolved from primeval life forms. Okay, no, wait. You can't just... You would basically need to, like, know the code. Like, DNA is more complicated than just, it's like a code. Yeah, but actually it's more complicated than that. To have that cell turn into a dinosaur, you would need to construct a dinosaur, like down to every little part of it, and every little part of its DNA would need to be constructed. Then I guess. Let's keep reading. An Evodevo unit applies these same principles to the problem of information and object reconstruction. With the help of the chiral networks, we may take incomplete data, and indeed incomplete objects, and reproduce their complete forms. Okay, so that's what the Evodevo does then. It extrapolates. So you don't actually need... So he's saying you don't need the DNA of a dinosaur because dinosaurs evolved from simple life. So if you have simple life, you could, in theory, extrapolate that into a dinosaur. That's a huge leap, though. I guess I'll have to put that aside for the sake of, sci-fi. This data can then be fed into a chiral printer, et voila! Partial data yields finished product. The tech isn't available for everyday use yet, but when it is, it will be of incalculable benefit to our research and bring our reconstruction efforts forward by a matter of decades. So yeah, I guess, so not only could this thing in theory make a dinosaur out of a, like an amoeba, it could in theory, well, he's not saying that, but I suppose it could take like a single gear and turn that into a truck somehow. I don't know. Ooh, Higgs particles. Higgs Monaghan? 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 I don't know how to pronounce that. Why, yes, I know the name. The former leader of a private courier organization, as I recall, which serviced a large region in the West, was instrumental in providing continued support to the people living there. I'm thinking this is Troy Baker, if I'm not mistaken. But as we were so far apart, bridges struggled to maintain any measure of influence over their operations. It probably didn't help that the separatist movement has always enjoyed strong support in that territory. In the wake of growing violence by the demons, we were shocked to learn that Higgs himself was at their head. What to make of this strange development? Why on earth would a man who once commanded a group devoted to American Reconstructionism suddenly pledge himself to the cause of American destruction? His name only compounds the insult. Have you heard of Higgs particle, also known as the God particle? Yes, I have heard of it. It is associated with the Higgs field. that which gives all other particles their mass. Yep. Without it, atoms would fly apart and matters would not exist as we know it. In other words, its very presence prevents mindless destruction. Cosmic irony indeed. Well, yeah, the Higgs particle is like a theoretical particle, right? Something to explain why things don't fly apart. How things have mass, I think, is the thing about Higgs particle. I'm not so I know a lot about physics, but not quite on that level. Chiral Network 2. Oh yeah, Mama. I forget she's a character. In a way, the Chiral Network makes use of the beach to allow us to travel through time, yeah? Okay. See, sending large amounts of data takes large amount of time, as you'd expect. Checks out. But the thing about beaches is, well, time doesn't pass the same way in them as it does out here. Might not even pass at all. Think about how the light from the stars in the sky we see was produced thousands and thousands of years ago. Yeah, at least. Routing data through the beach is like jumping to a point earlier in that journey, thereby cutting it shorter. Routing data. Okay, yeah. You start the journey, and then you move to a point during the... fuck it. I'll continue reading. I don't think my explanation I was about to go into would make things more understandable. Much shorter. Just imagine. Fuck. Massive amounts of data transferred almost instantaneously. That's what we're trying to achieve with a chiral network in a nutshell. In theory, the network allows us to reconstruct old data that would otherwise be lost, and to do so with fragmented resources. Using what's known as evideva analysis, we could take the finger bone of a dinosaur, say, and extrapolate from that not only the dinosaur's form but the composition. Internal, external, even its thought process to a degree. Anything's possible with chiral computing. So that's more on the evidevo. So you would need part of a dinosaur to extrapolate from it. Or are you saying you don't... they might be saying that you don't need the DNA, you just need the shape, and from that you can extrapolate what the DNA would have to have been for it to take that form. That's more interesting, I think. That sounds, well, not plausible, because that's not how it works. Like, we can't make that happen as it is. But for a sci-fi concept, it sounds plausible enough. Let's see. In other words, we won't just be able to reunite a nation, we'll be able to reclaim everything we lost in the Death Stranding. More even, theoretically, we could go back as far as the birth of the planet and beyond. And thanks to the beach, we'll be able to compile all that data in one place and reduce the processing time for even the most complex analysis to effectively zero. Prepper interview the engineer. I moved on from that. I don't know what to say about that, really. Going back to the planet's birth. Fuck. Anyways, I'll have to think on that. I'll move on to this right now. Prepper interview the engineer. My horizons ain't exactly broad. That said, I'm not completely cut off from the outside world. I knew what Bridges was, and that they were trying to rebuild America. But when you're living down here, it's hard to see how that's got anything to do with you and yourself, am I right? My folks holed up in this shelter after the Death Stranding, had a kid and raised him in their slice of paradise. And together we lived off whatever Fragile Express was kind enough to bring our way. They told me tales about the good old days, but I've never had much of an imagination. Couldn't see how a country long gone was any concern of me and mine. For as I figured, if Fragile Express was happy to keep bringing us stuff, we didn't need anybody else, and we certainly didn't need America, whatever that even was. Yeah, I mean, at the point he's talking about, like the way I read this, he's saying that he grew up after the Death Stranding. He wouldn't even know what the fuck an America is. What does that even mean to like the people living now? Guess we'll get more on that topic later. But then one day I was looking at a part for this machine my dad put together. He was an engineer too. And I noticed something. It said made in the USA right there in tiny print. Got me to thinking that America might not exist anymore, but the stuff Americans built is still around, making our lives a little bit easier even now. You could say the old country lives on in its works. Kinda like how my folks live on in me. They died a while back. Anyway, if they were American, I guess that makes me American too. Maybe this shelter a part of it all. Once I realized that, I started pouring my heart into building stuff to help you guys put the country back together. I mean... Oh, fuck. There's different takes on this. This isn't a bad take, I don't think. I don't know that I would, like seeing Made in Sweden written on something wouldn't make me feel any more patriotic than I am, which is not a lot. I don't know that I hate the... I've never put much stock into, like... I don't care much about the country as a... like as a construct of politics. I believe the nature of Sweden is very pleasant and valuable and all that. It's the place where I grew up. It has a feel to it. The forests and hills and valleys that wouldn't be the same anywhere else, but that's like my immediate vicinity. I wouldn't say that like southern Sweden with its with flat acres of farmland would have that same feel to me. Like it hardly feel it, that wouldn't feel like my home the way my home feels like my home. And just because it's all under this umbrella of being Sweden, don't mean much to me. There's a lot of thought about countries right here. Let's see. Terrorists posting as Fragile Express couriers. And this is a craftsman 1 year ago. The terrorists have been at it again lately. You heard right? About how they've been sneaking in and out of cities disguised as Fragile Express couriers. We'll have another disaster on our hands at this rate, but it's not like we can just cut them out. We need Fragile's people to keep on doing what they're doing. We rely on those guys for a lot, though maybe we shouldn't. I hear they're transporting weapons now. Why they'd be so stupid I can't imagine. Spreading shit around that kills in a world where the dead are ticking BT bombs. Sure, terrorists are a threat, and mules a royal pain in the ass, but what genius figured escalation was the way to go when we all know where it leads? We need weapons, no, tools, that can take down the bad guys without killing them. And we need the hardware in circulation gone yesterday. We can't keep folks from dying in accidents or getting sick. We can't keep them from dying, period. But the deaths we can put off, we ought to. Violence isn't just ugly, it's damn near suicidal in this day and age. which is why I'm looking to make a bunch of less than lethal gear in the hopes that it will prevent a few idiots from getting themselves and others killed. Yeah, fucking killing someone is super dangerous in this setting. It's probably a better incentive than any for like non-lethal force, if any force at all. Because like even like take today, rubber bullets are non-lethal, but you can be damn sure that people have died from rubber bullets. Tasers have killed people. Like any weapon that does harm probably has the potential to kill, even if that is not the intention. Like think about those bolas the gun was shooting. In real life, that kind of thing would probably be able to kill someone. Like I shot people so the wire wrapped around their head and the fucking balls smashed into them. That would have killed in real life. Assuming the thing had the force required for the weights on the cord to wrap around like that. But yeah, like some settings struggle with motivating why a hero would choose not to kill. Like Batman, who has his no killing rule, which I think is a good thing. But like, there's also the kind of hard to argue sometimes that it's for the better that several of his bad guys get to live when they clearly have no intention of changing and will kill again because fucking prison system in Gotham doesn't work. That's just an example though. Lots of heroes choose not to kill for different reasons. Like, I'm perfectly fine with Superman choosing not to kill because Superman is like he's not the kind of person who tries. He's never gonna kill someone as the first option or the second option, maybe the third, but probably not. He's gonna try and find every possible way to not kill whoever he's fighting because that's not what he does. That's not the values he has. But with this setting, values sort of become like not meaningless, but there's a lot more to it than just your values. There's an actual like there's an incentive not to kill because that will fucking, if you kill a single person, you might be setting off a nuke. Lots of thinking to do about that. You know what? I'm going to call it right here. I'm gonna go and save. And I'll see you on the next episode of whatever.